In the vast silence of deep space, far beyond Mars and the asteroid belt, Jupiter looms like a cosmic titan, shrouded in swirling storms and chaotic beauty. Orbiting this giant is Europa, one of the planet's most intriguing moons. At first glance, Europa appears serene, covered in a gleaming shell of ice that reflects the distant sunlight like a cold mirror. But beneath that frozen crust lies something that has puzzled and fascinated scientists for decades: an ocean. A vast, global ocean of liquid water, kept warm not by the sun but by the gravitational pull of Jupiter itself. And now, something has stirred beneath that ancient sea. It began with a whisper, a faint, irregular radio signal picked up by the Galileo spacecraft in the late 1990s. At the time, it was dismissed as interference. But in 2023, when the Juno probe flew closer to Europa than any spacecraft had in over 2 decades, it detected something eerily similar. A repeating pattern. Structured? Artificial? NASA was cautious. Publicly, they said it was likely a natural geological phenomenon. But behind closed doors, things moved quickly. A special task force was assembled, codenamed Project Siren. Their mission: decode the signal, determine its source, and prepare for the launch of the most ambitious unmanned mission ever conceived, the Europa Deep Submersible. By 2030, a sleek, nuclear-powered lander named Thalassa touched down on Europa's icy plains. Equipped with a heated drill and a state-of-the-art submarine probe, it began melting its way through the miles-thick ice shell. The descent took weeks. Instruments recorded seismic tremors, fluctuating magnetic fields, and the signal. Louder, closer. It was as if something knew it was being approached. Finally, Thalassa broke through the final layers of ice. The submersible detached, gliding silently into the ink-black ocean. Its lights pierced the void, revealing strange currents and glittering ice crystals. For the first few hours, the descent was uneventful. Then a shadow passed across the probe's camera, large, fast, intentional. Back on Earth, the signal changed. The pattern that had baffled scientists for years shifted into something new. A series of pulses and pauses like a code, like language. Panic spread quietly through the team at Mission Control. Was this a message, a warning, or a greeting? The AI on board Thalassa attempted to translate the data, but its confidence index dropped to 0. Then the cameras went dark. The submersible was still transmitting telemetry, depth, pressure, movement, but no visuals. Something was interfering with the feed, or someone. Mission Command initiated emergency protocols. Thalassa was ordered to ascend. But instead of rising, the probe drifted sideways as if being pulled or guided. The last signal it transmitted before total loss of contact was a single word, spelled out in binary BENEATH. The year was 2037. NASA's Icebreaker probe had been drifting silently through space for 6 years before finally piercing the gravity well of Europa, Jupiter's enigmatic moon. This was no ordinary mission. Hidden from the public, the Icebreaker carried a payload of classified instruments, among them the Subsurface Resonance Analyzer, SRA, designed to detect and interpret complex patterns deep beneath the moon's frozen crust. The goal? To listen, not just to geological activity, but to any hint of something alive. Within days of arriving in orbit, the probe began transmitting what seemed at first like glacial vibrations. But buried in those icy echoes was a pattern, rhythmic, predictable, almost like a heartbeat. The data stunned Mission Control. It couldn't be explained by tidal forces alone. Then came a faint but undeniable pulsing signal, structured and repeating, resonating from nearly 30 kilometers beneath the surface. Europa's icy shell was believed to conceal a vast subsurface ocean warmed by tidal flexing from Jupiter's immense gravity, a perfect pressure cooker for life. But intelligent life? That was unthinkable, until now. The SRA's readings hinted at a colossal cavern, an air pocket of sorts, enveloped by thick ice walls. The signal originated from the very center of this void. NASA immediately locked down the data stream. From that moment on, the public feed from Icebreaker began broadcasting sanitized reports, temperature fluctuations, ice thickness, unremarkable seismic activity. The real mission went dark. But inside a secure room at Langley Research Center, a handful of scientists and intelligence operatives stared at the impossible, a modulation in the signal matching prime numbers, a classic hallmark of intelligent design. Rumors quickly spread through inner circles. Was it possible Europa hosted an ancient machine, a beacon, a survivor of a pre-solar civilization? Or was it something still alive, something waiting? 6 weeks after the signal began, it abruptly stopped. The SRA went offline. A cascading failure rippled through the Icebreaker probe, and contact was lost entirely. NASA issued a vague statement about a systems malfunction due to unexpected cryovolcanic activity. Internally, the mood was darker. The signal hadn't just stopped, it had been replaced by silence. Absolute, deliberate silence, as if something had noticed it was being watched. A month later, a quiet directive was issued, Project Prometheus, a manned mission to Europa, accelerated from its original 2050 timeline. The urgency was clear, though the reasoning was locked behind more security than even the Mars colonization plans. What had the Icebreaker awoken? Why did the signal resemble a code? And why, after billions of years buried under ice, would it activate now? The world may never know the full truth, but somewhere on Europa, beneath miles of frozen isolation, something ancient may be listening, and perhaps one day it will answer.